playing one of each and then playing that third copy of Blacephalon. So it looks like David's list is geared more towards just attacking with Fireball Circus, kind of like the older traditional Baby Blounds deck we may have seen. And of course, Benjamin playing that Arceus Dialga Palkia with Zacian, something we have seen so much of ever since Sword and Shield base set was released, bringing that Zacian V, such a powerful card. And of course, combined with Altered Creation GX, maybe one of the most powerful attacks ever in the Pokemon trading card game.
Yeah, looking at both these players, have some accomplishments, regionals, semifinalist, and top 16 for David. And over on Benjamin's side, has some top 64s at regionals and that league challenge finalist this year before the pandemic. Definitely cool to see some recent accomplishments. Looks like Benjamin may be a more recent player and is piloting that deck. Again, Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia. Maybe one of the most, as you said, powerful attacks in the game, that being Altered Creation. This should be a fun one. It's going to come down to the wire, and I'm looking forward to this, Chip. Let's go ahead and get into this match. It's going to be, again, Benjamin will be here on the top of your screen while David will be on the bottom. David, again, piloting that Blacephalon and Friends deck, while Benjamin on the top is going to be playing that ADP Zacian deck, playing a similar list to what we saw previously, is playing 2 copies of the Mawile. And looking at David's hand to start,
Yikes.
This is a typical, as we like to call it, welder hand.
Yeah, not very good here. At least seemingly, right? There are a lot of super good top decks. You could find a Quick Ball, you could find a Reshiram and Charizard, you could find a Cherish Ball. So there's still a lot of potential here for David to get off a decent attack. I mean, if you just top deck a Quick Ball, Cherish Ball, or Charizard, you're getting 200 damage off next turn, pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah, it looks like at this point, we are going to see Benjamin start things off with an Energy Spinner. Great card to play in this Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia deck. Allows you to find any basic energy. Will not get the full effect going second, but all you currently ask for here, again, for the game plan for this Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia deck is to get that turn 1 energy attachment.
Yeah.
I think just taking a look to go through the deck, make sure you know it's prized. Some pieces here are definitely important. Unlike the list I think we saw Jack Millar play, is playing 2 copies of Rusted Sword, right? So we'll have a way to deal with the things such as that Reshiram and Charizard GX, and we'll be able to take 4 prizes on it with Altered Creation. So that's definitely got to be the card possibly here to deal with what we usually see these Welder decks go for, which is either a Spit Shot on turn 1 or that Double Blaze for 200.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to this top deck. Otherwise, David's going to, I mean, what, Welder 1 energy to the Oricorio and...
Beat Catch or something.
Yeah, it's looking a little tough, but, I mean, this is an excellent turn for Benjamin. Does choose to discard a Metal Saucer. That must mean he's holding on to some powerful cards in hand there, as we do see the Water Energy coming down to the active, and we will see the Intrepid Sword, maybe one of the most powerful abilities in the game. I know we've talked about just some all-time great abilities and attacks going on in this ADP deck, so no wonder it is as strong as it is. Oh my goodness, a third Welder over here for David.
I mean, why can you complain? You have Welder, you have Fire Energy. What else is there?
Oh no!
But we actually just see nothing here. Interesting to note, does play the Beastbringer. That is actually a very important card in this ADP matchup, right? You could
this
take 4
game
prizes
could be over right here.
Yeah, all Benjamin needs is a switching card and a Metal Energy because of finding 2 metal off of that Intrepid Sword. And there's the switch to start things off. Are we going to see this dog? Research is going to go to the deck and draw 7 cards here. Benjamin looks like an excellent position and finds the Metal Energy. So heartbreaking here for David. But Zacian, again, can power up so quickly at this point and just, again, showcasing how powerful this deck is, and we'll see who ends up going first or second in game 2, but I have to assume if you're David, going into this next game, you've got to be playing a whole lot different. You got to be drawing better to start things off, but there we go. We see the Brave Blade take the knockout, taking 2 prizes, but more importantly, knocking out the only Pokemon in play there for David. Is going to go ahead and take game 1, Chip. Pretty dominating fashion. I mean, there's not really a lot to touch on in that game, right? It's just kind of a typical quick victory that we see sometimes in the game, using one of those conditions of winning the game if your opponent has no more Pokemon left in play. If we're looking at, hypothetically, right, it looks like David will be able to choose whether or not to go first or second. Looking at that here, what does David need to do to get set up and really put on pressure to get in a winning scenario against such a fast deck like ADP?
Yeah, actually, interestingly enough, we did see David went ahead and chose to go first here. Normally, you like to see these welder decks choose to go second. You really want to try to welder on the first turn most of the time. So what David might be thinking here is, I think getting an attachment onto something like a Reshiram and Charizard allows you to threaten a Flare Strike on turn 2, and then you can go for the Double Blaze GX for 300 damage on turn 3. So that could be what we see David trying to go with in this strategy in this matchup, and I think that actually could work out very well for David if that's something that he's able to identify and something he's able to go for. And of course, if he can find that Reshiram and Charizard and a Fire Energy on turn 1.
Yeah, hopefully David can find some playable cards this game. That's my main hope, is that we can see an exciting game 2 here. Again, this is loser's bracket, so the loser of this game will be eliminated from the tournament, as the winner will move on and advance through the loser's bracket. So let's go ahead and get into the second game of our series here for you guys. Oceania bracket here. It's going to be, again, reminder, losers round number 9 here. So the winner is going to go ahead and advance to the last round of the losers finals. Essentially, the winner of that match will go ahead, but you still need to win this match, so both these players are focusing on it, and luckily for David, is going to have some cards to work with here in the starting hand.
Yeah, pretty solid. I think if you can find a quick ball off of this Jirachi, you're feeling really good. Get that attachment onto the Reshiram and Charizard, but actually finding the Blacephalon, that's also not a bad option, especially since you play Beastbringer in your list. That allows you to potentially take 4 prizes on the Arceus Dialga Palkia. It can be kind of difficult to build up to enough energies in hand to make that happen, but David is actually playing a pretty high energy count, 18 basic fire, so very much more suited to the traditional baby Blacephalon decks that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I describe it more rather than Tempozard as a Blacephalon and Friends sort of list, right?
Sure.
It's not playing something like the ordinary rod we sometimes see these Blacephalons play, but 3 is usually enough, as Blacephalon is one of the best, if not the best, single prize Pokemon in this format, able to just trade so well against these big VMAX and tag team Pokemon. As we see Marnie get played, David, you gotta not like that if you're David, right?
That hand was pretty good.
It's a perfect hand, yeah. But hey, I can one-up you here if that Hearth stays in play. We'll be able to welder for 2 in this hand, as Benjamin's got to find another Pokemon, but Cherish Ball will guarantee that Arceus Dialga Palkia gets down. I'm sure that will be the grab if it's not already in the hand here. Really just wants to try to get down an energy onto that to threaten the Altered Creation for full effect the following turn. It's going to be pretty unlikely we see the rare turn 1 Altered Creation. It's still possible. We'll need to still find a way to discard a Metal Energy, Metal Saucer, Switch, Energy Switch, Water Energy. Even talking about it here, it just seems so unlikely.
Hey man, don't count ADP out quite yet. This deck can still draw plenty of cards. Has already played the supporter for turn, so a little bit more limited than maybe you'd like to be, but there is definitely still potential. We could see it happen, especially if this Marnie drew into a really strong set of cards. Definitely not super likely, but I mean, we've seen it happen before. ADP really can just pop off, and Altered Creation out of nowhere is certainly possible.
Yeah, this will be the first deck search here. So that is the important thing to note. This is the first deck search for both of these players. So,
yeah, big energy spinner here, able to get 3 energy cards out of the deck. So we'll probably see a water and then probably a couple metal energies to just get discarded off of something like the Giant Hearth. Maybe if you've got a Dedenne or Crobat in hand, you could go with that. We're actually just going to see 1 of each. And with the Giant Hearth in play, you can just get rid of that energy pretty quickly.
Yeah, and we are going to see Quick Ball go ahead and discard the Metal Energy from the hand. It's definitely what you want to see, right? You want to be able to Metal Saucer that back. And I think able to grab any basic Pokemon out of the deck is going to go ahead and grab a Dedenne GX to draw some additional cards.
All right, well, we do see the Dedenne. And looks like we will see that Dedenne change. We see the Metal Energy going to the discard. A Metal Saucer as well. You don't love to see that. Okay, I feel a little more reasonable in saying that the turn 1 is kind of tough here. Losing one of those pieces of the puzzle, needing the switch, needing the energy switch, and of course the Metal Saucer to pull the whole play off here. And ooh, there is a Mawile. Will bring that Cramorant down. Not too big of a deal. Probably something that would get benched at some point anyway. But luckily, I guess for David, did not find something like a Dedenne GX or even a Crobat.
Yeah, and yeah, that's definitely gotta hurt if you're Benjamin, right? You've got to try to find those support Pokemon. It just makes it even easier. especially with pair of the Marnie, very solid as that Giant Heart stays in play. That's going to be a big deal here for David. It's going to most likely allow this Cephalon to take a knockout onto the Zacian. And then after that, we could just see it take another knockout and the game be over in 3 turns. That's usually how ADP wins games. So David's kind of sticking it to him in a sense of, hey, I know you like to play games fast. What if I do that here? I'm usually a deck that takes a little while to set up, but if you draw the proper cards, it's definitely possible. As we actually see the Zacian V is going to get benched, so David maybe not wanting to take this knockout on this active Zacian, just to take the turn and utilize Welder. We haven't really seen the Zacian in a while in this Cephalon deck. Finds a bunch of cards here to play, but I think, again, smart choice to go ahead and grab that Zacian, right? We'll be able to utilize Intrepid Sword, and I think deciding whether or not to attach this energy, would like to see David hold that, so it's even more energy to have against this Zacian, or against this Arceus Dialga Poké. That hand's not looking too solid. Just a few cards, nothing really else too playable, but it's going to be on Benjamin this turn to, at minimum, get this Alter Creation off.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're seeing David go for here is that Beast Bringer play, trying to take a knockout on that Arceus Dialga Palkia for 4 prizes. Of course, only getting the extra prize when you're knocking out a GX Pokemon. So needing to have that be the active Pokemon here in order for David to get those additional prizes via Beast Bringer.
Yeah, so there is the Metal Energy. Going to go ahead and get attached to that Arceus Dialga Poké. Now has a Water and a Metal attached to it. So again, we'll be able to utilize the full effect of that Alter Creation GX. It will allow Benjamin to deal 30 more damage to David's active Pokemon during this game. And more importantly, every time the active Pokemon gets knocked out, on David's side, Benjamin draws an additional prize card. As we actually see another
double
Mawile here. Are we going to see this get played down? If we do, this is going to be a big turn of the tides here for Benjamin. It would clog David's bench up, not allow any more support Pokemon on the bench like the Patane, like Crobat, and we do see Boss Orders get discarded. I mean, usually you want to get down something like a Dedenne or a Crobat so that the first Ultimate Ray, if that Arceus Dialga Palkia is still up, can take a knockout and take 3 prize cards, and more importantly, build the Zacian V up to be able to knock out something like the Cramorant V or the opposing Zacian on the board. But we don't see that here. If the Small Wall gets played down, it will still grab Pokemon, so clogging the bench is still good, but again, not the Pokemon that Benjamin wants to grab here.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what... here it comes. Mawile's Captivating Wink. Go ahead and fill that bench up. Really does limit David's options here. And I think if you're Benjamin and you have the pieces... I actually kind of like knocking out this Jirachi. If you can find an Energy Switch and a Metal Saucer, you could Ultimate Ray to take this out. You just got to see your opponent's hand. You know that they're not really working with too much here. Not likely they'd be able to knock out your ADP. I guess it is possible with a really strong top deck, but you know that they're kind of living on that top deck because Jirachi's Stellar Wish, if you get rid of it, that's really one of their only options.
Yeah, I like the ability to go ahead and dig to get rid of that Jirachi. I definitely think that's strong play. Wants to do that with the Arceus Dialga Palkia. The other cards on the bench would not be able to survive a Blacephalon hit. There's the Alter Creation. Welder is the top deck.
What a top deck!
That's definitely a solid top deck for sure. However, it's just one less energy. I mean, you get to see more cards here, so we do see the switch. It could reset something like that Stellar Wish again in this case. But I think just thinking through the options on what do I do in this position, Quick Ball could be good. It opens up the bench space now that the Jirachi would get picked up via the Scuba Net, so you would have an additional bench space. However, I believe that the Dedenne is still in deck, so you can still utilize that to draw more cards, but it's actually going to go ahead and grab the switch. So we may see this Jirachi go ahead and go to the hand and then start all over again. But instead, it looks like David particularly favors playing this Welder, so we will actually see that get played. I think just considering is actually going to go ahead and attach 2 energies to this Jirachi. I actually like this play here.
Super smart.
It's going to allow it to get rid of... I think we may very likely see the Fire Energy get hit in the discard pile. This could be enough to take a knockout. I think this is. So anyone explaining why put the energies on Jirachi here. Scoop Up Net discards all cards attached to it here. And the big thing at this point is that it would allow those energies to go to discard pile, which pairs perfectly with these fire crystals, and we are just going to see this Blacephalon come up. The Jirachi's going to go ahead and hit the board again. We honestly might just see the Jirachi just Stellar Wish again at this point. Has the switching card to do that again, has double fire crystal, and just like that, David, with a heads-up play, most players would not see something as, I guess, out of the ordinary of weldering it onto the Jirachi so they can get discarded. And that is probably one of the best lines of play I think we have seen all weekend on our side of things.
Definitely very heads-up play. Kind of caught me by surprise at first. I was a little confused, but then realized, oh yes, this Scoop Up Net in hand is going to work out very nicely here, and we're going to see the 6 energies needed in order to take this knockout. This is super ideal. We're going to see the switch. We're going to see the Blacephalon's Fireball Circus, and 4 prizes awarded thanks to that Beast Bringer tool card. This is not really a traditional way to play this list. Not normally something you would expect to see. Maybe at some time in the past you would expect to see a Beast Bringer in a Blacephalon deck, but it has been quite a while since I've seen it, and that is a huge 4-prize turn. And now all David is going to have to do is power up something like the Reshizard, which has easy KOs on these Fire Weak Metal Pokemon.
Yeah, it seems like David found exactly what he needed to get that knockout onto the Arceus Dialga and Palkia, and I don't even know if you're Benjamin. On top of being able to find all the pieces to knock it out, you also just have to hope your opponent doesn't have access to something like that welder. It just seems like the options are running out here for Benjamin, but first, he's got to start with getting an attack powered up to take a knockout. Mawile is probably going to be the easiest option, but again, I really don't think it matters at this point whether or not you knock out with Zacian or with the Mawile, because Fire Weak means it's going to get knocked out, and we see that with the water energy coming down to the Mawile. It does have a colorless in its attack, so you can utilize the water energy just in the deck for ADP onto the Mawile as well. A Steady Change is going to get rid of both Energy Switch and a Metal Saucer here. So Benjamin's got to find that Metal Saucer to start things off, to be able to at least pick up a knockout on this Blacephalon to deal just enough damage, pretty much 10 damage more than needed. But if there's no Metal Saucer there, I think David in hand with this Blacephalon being in the active, all powered up already, has the cards necessary to knock out anything on Benjamin's board.
Yeah, Benjamin has to attack here, and also Benjamin playing 2 copies of Marnie. That could be a huge draw, limiting David's options. David not playing the typical Oricorio that you would see from some of these decks. But no, it's just going to be the Intrepid Sword, and that's going to be the game. David having the energy in hand, having the Fire Crystal as well to bring back 3 energies, and we'll see a Fireball Circus here dealing 200 damage, and David able to force the game 3 here in Losers Round 9. One more match for these players. The winner will move on to the next round of the losers bracket, and then the loser will unfortunately go home empty-handed.
Yep, we're just waiting for confirmation. So Benjamin going to go ahead and go first. This Arceus Dialga Poké deck wants to go first. That is a big Fireball Circus. Perfect draws there from David on his hand. We were talking about, hey, David, brick game 1, did not draw into the cards needed. Had really no access to anything. Had to welder onto Oricorio, in fact. And it seems like maybe commentators uncurse, right? Drew into the perfect cards there in order to get the knockout on the Arceus Dialga and Palkia. And yeah, Benjamin had no way to respond. And going into this next game, Chip, this is an important game. Both players want to execute their strategy. What do they each have to do in order to do their best, right? To play their best in order to secure this 3rd game, which is such an important one, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super impressed with David's play there in that game. Seeing that play with the welder onto the Jirachi, super niche, definitely not something you would normally do, but able to get those energies in the discard pile to effectively use the Fire Crystal, exactly what David needed to get the knockout. So if David can keep making plays like that, it's going to be tough for anyone to stop him, let alone Benjamin. But Benjamin does have the advantage of going first here. We'll try to get that attachment, also try to get an Intrepid Sword off, trying to draw just more cards to find the pieces to get that Altered Creation. If David can find that one of Beast Bringer again, imagine seeing that 2 games in a row. That would be incredible. And finding enough energies to get the knockout, I think that's definitely what David is going to be looking to do.
Yeah, only plays 1 in the deck. The only way to search that out, besides drawing into that, is with Jirachi. So it seems like you gotta get a little lucky to draw into it, right? You only have a certain amount of turns because that only works if you are at exactly 6 prize cards. So once you take a knockout, can't draw the extra prize card. You have to be at exactly 6. So both players have their game plans. We've identified what they gotta do in order to win. So let's go ahead and get down into this crucial game number 3 between both these players. This is going to be an exciting one here. We know that Benjamin is going to be going first in this game. That's exactly what you want to see. It's going to be up to David to find that turn 1 welder in combination with one of his multiple fire attackers and even colorless attacker. Crimrant's here too, and oh no. Boy. Oh no. Don't
do it again, David. No.
Ooh, David, not like this. Having nothing in hand here, just fire energy, wasting at fire energy, and perfect start here for Benjamin will have the Arceus Dialga and Palkia to get things started. Chip, I hate to say it, but it's seeming like game 1 all over again. But even at a worse extent, you can't even draw anything. I mean, you could draw with Intrepid Sword. Benjamin's going to take a look at this poor hand, and is probably very happy to see this on such a crucial game. It happens in the Pokemon trading card game. Decks are only as consistent as they can be, especially these welder variants that have to play so many energy in it. As we see so many in this opening hand, almost half of David's hand is an energy. As on Benjamin's side, Patane will go ahead and discard the hand. Is going to go ahead and draw some more cards, getting rid of that second Mawile. Don't need it anymore. I think you know your opponent's in a pretty bad spot, and if nothing changes, then things are looking pretty good for Benjamin.
Yeah, Benjamin definitely wants to find this Zacian here. Go ahead and use Intrepid Sword. Game 1, we saw 2 energies get attached. Looks like this time no extra energies from the Intrepid Sword. So David, top decking Welder gives you a little bit of playability. Obviously, it's not great to Welder onto Zacian, but also at the same time, it does potentially give you the retreat option, and it also gives you the ability to get those energies back via the Fire Crystal.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend we've seen Welder onto a whole cast of characters. Eldegoss, Crobat, Zacian. Unfortunately, Brave Blade only attacks from Metal Energy, so be unable to utilize that as just an Intrepid Sword. Again, nothing super solid off of that. Chip, are we going to see yet another donk here from Benjamin?
It's way harder for Benjamin to pull it off this turn than it was in game number 1. Right now sitting there with 0 energies on Zacian, and now this being the first metal energy to hit the discard pile, but it's definitely possible. A single metal saucer, a single attachment, and then an energy switch and a switch is the game for Benjamin. And if I'm Benjamin here, after I saw what my opponent did to me in the last game with the Beastbringer, I might try to capitalize on this start here and try to maybe dig for this donk. Worst case scenario, you can still find the water energy and still go for Altered Creation.
So yeah, looks like just looking off the quick ball to see exactly what to search out. Again, have a pretty solid start to get things here. Is going to grab yet another Dedenne GX into the hand. Could use the Dene change. Has a lot of cards into the hand. May not be the best Dedenne change. You really just need to find the water energy, but you definitely have to push for that here. So that's the main thing to really look at. So I have to imagine Benjamin grabbing the Dedenne means there's probably not access to a water energy in his current hand. Means that we may have to see Benjamin dig through the deck. I think, again, just debating, right? Dedenne, a powerful card, but at a cost, right? You have to discard your hand. Those cards in this Arceus Dialga and Palkia deck, besides the supporter cards, right, that can get grab back with Eldegoss V is there. But actually having the water energy in hand, we'll be able to use Alter Creation, and oh no, this is just, I have no words to describe this other than this is pretty terrible.
Yeah, definitely not ideal, but also, you know, you're not getting donked now. And I think this is what Benjamin was debating. Do I go with the Dedenne change? Do I discard this water energy, run the risk of just not drawing into the pieces and then giving my opponent an opportunity to get back into this? Or do I just try to capitalize on the fact that they're having a pretty bad start and just go ahead and Alter Creation? I can still knock out this Zacian pretty easily in the future, and I think that ultimately is the right choice.
Yes, we are going to see the Zacian manually retreat into the Jirachi. Stellar Wish does find a quick ball, but on top of that, you really need to find something else because this Jirachi will go down, meaning that as long as the prize trade goes favorably, which I think it will, especially after an Ultimate Ray, I think Benjamin will be in the pace. If you let this Arceus Dialga Palkia get off an Ultimate Ray, in so many matchups, it just spells so much trouble. They get the energy into play, they get the damage on the board, and it can just go so downhill from there.
Hey, this actually could be kind of okay for David, potentially. You could just go get Cramorant here and go for the beak catch and try to set yourself up with a Blacephalon, a Welder, something like that. Try to find the Beast Energy, or excuse me, the Beast Bringer. But it looks like David actually just going to opt for the Blacephalon. Go ahead with the Intrepid Sword. I don't know. I kind of would have liked to have seen the beak catch there. It's pretty unlikely that your opponent is going to be able to knock out the Cramorant, right? They're probably going to have to Ultimate Ray here. So this opens up a play where your opponent can maybe go Boss's Orders, KO your Blacephalon. Of course, just KOing this Jirachi isn't too bad for Benjamin either, as you're taking away your opponent's draw option. And David unable to find really much else as far as welders and things. And it will actually just be the boss and the Ultimate Ray into Blacephalon.
Yeah, I would like to see that play, especially if Benjamin did not have a Marnie in hand to be able to apply that. This hand size is big for David, but it's not looking too good. There is no Welder. We'll be able to find something like the Blacephalon off of the Quick Ball. But besides that, there really is nothing. He's going to be relying heavily on the Stellar Wish. We'll be able to do that multiple times. Has the pivot options in the hand, as David will go ahead and start off. Hey, there's another Blacephalon, so we'll be able to possibly search something else out off of this Quick Ball, as the Jirachi will go ahead and Stellar Wish. There is a Welder, so you love to see that. They're choosing not to put the Quick Ball first. Ended up paying off, as the Welder was in the top 5 cards of the deck. We are, I think, going to see a Welder. We could also see the Giant Hearth and Quick Ball get played first to thin out the deck a little bit. As looking over at the list, actually, we see that there is no Stadium cards in Benjamin's list. Plays no copies of that Chaotic Swell, which means you're pretty much safe to just go ahead and discard the Giant Hearts here, as that's going to find a lot of energy. We could very likely see this Blacephalon take a knockout, and then from there, it's on Benjamin to be able to power up a third attacker, right? The Zacian on the bench is already powered up. We'll go down to 2 prizes next turn. Definitely want to take care of that Blacephalon. Here is the draw. That's definitely going to be enough energy. I think really is just digging through the deck to try and find this Beastbringer. Unable to find it so far.
Yeah, this is, I mean, David's got a lot of options here. We got double Scoop Up Net, 3 Switch in hand. You could actually Stellar Wish 2 more times here, I'm pretty sure, and be able to potentially pull off the Beastbringer play. I mean, there's plenty of energy. We know there's 2 Fire Crystals. We see 5 energies already in hand. So if you can find the Beastbringer, you could get this 4 prize turn and still be in a solid spot here. Nothing really there off that Stellar Wish, but once again, Scoop Up Net Switch will allow you to look once more. And if David finds this, David's actually not in a bad spot at all. It's going to come down to 1 more wish, though. Let's see what these 5 cards are. Do we see that Beastbringer? No,
we don't. Oh, no. Did not find the Beastbringer there. Not completely out of it, though. We'll still be able to knock out this Arceus-style Gunpolkia, but from there, it's on Benjamin to find those remaining Metal Saucers. You can take the Jirachi out of play, right, and not bench Pokemon. Mawile is the easiest attacker to power up. I think just debating what the choice is actually going to go ahead and grab a Jirachi. I don't know if it's worth it to switch. I think you need to be able to knock out this Arceus-style Gunpolkia. I think you lose the game if you're not taking a knockout onto this active right now. Has the amount of energy required, and I think David notices that. Is going to go ahead and attach the Fire Energy for turn. Has the Switch, has the Fire Crystal. There is plenty of energy in this card pile.
Oh, yeah.
So we are going to be seeing this Fireball Circus deal at least 300 damage. Obviously don't want to get rid of any extra energy. And interestingly, enough, going to go ahead and bench another Jirachi. So that's just more damage Mawile can output and an easier KO that can be taken on later in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Mawile's still knocking out Blacephalon regardless, right? You're doing 90, plus 10, and then plus 30 more from the Altered Creation. So I think kind of just anticipating a potential Marnie from your opponent. Benjamin is playing 2 copies of Marnie in the list. Want to have some of those switching options so you can use multiple Stellar Wishes, though David is already down quite a few of those switch cards.
Yeah, it looks like just going to take the prizes here. Actually, it's going to be on Benjamin. I was looking at the order of operations wrong. If this Zacian is guaranteed the knockout. So that is the only real option, is if Zacian takes the knockout first, then there is technically like an out, right, that Benjamin does not find the energy. But all Benjamin really needs to do is attach 2 energy here, especially with that other Jirachi bench. I don't really think it matters. I think there's a world, right, where you have your last Scoop Up Net to pick it up, and you only have those 2 bench Pokemon, where Mawile is not dealing enough damage to take a knockout. I think that's the only real reason that David can get through this match. So we'll see. Benjamin definitely in the driver's seat here, but again, nothing is impossible here. I've seen comebacks in the Pokemon trading card game throughout my time casting events, and again, nothing is impossible here. David still has potential. And Benjamin here, though, again, definitely in the favorable position to start things out. Has a big hand size. We know Dedenne is in there, so we'll have access to drawing multiple cards if need be. I think the main thing to prioritize, at least getting energy down that Mawile to get it ready to attack the following turn.
Yeah, maybe even if you have the pieces, trying to power up a Zacian could be better. It gives you more options, as we actually see the boss's orders here brings up the Zacian and is just going to take this knockout, actually. This actually kind of makes sense as well. You take 3 prizes. I mean, I guess no matter what, you're taking multiple knockouts, but it guarantees that it's easier for the Mawile to pick up the next KO, right? You're not making it a little harder for your opponent to tackle something like the Reshiram and Charizard, which obviously Mawile would not be able to pick up the knockout on. So I think trying to utilize that so that maybe if David does attack with the Blacephalon, Mawile can clean up the game still.
Yeah, interesting choice to not go after the Oricorio. I feel like if you had to pick off a 2-prize target, Oricorio would be the best option. And this is a position now where if you had no bench Pokemon, right, or if you hadn't benched a second Jirachi, you could be put in a position now where you find a Scoop Net off the Stellar Wish, take the knockout on the Zacian, and now your opponent has no way to knock out this Blacephalon. They would have to power up a fresh, new Zacian V. Mawile would only be dealing 100 damage. So that's where maybe benching the second Jirachi could have been David's downfall. We'll see what happens off the Stellar Wishes here. Obviously can't bench the Dene, then at that point you had nothing. If we do see double Scoop Up Net though, I guess you can bench the Dene. I think that's the only play David can make here is find double Scoop Up Net, attack with this Blacephalon, and hope that your opponent doesn't have any out. But I think that's doable there. You see both Scoop Up Nets remaining in the deck.
As long as they're not prized, right?
As long as they're not prized, right? Yeah, that is always a possibility. There are 3 cards prized. We can take a look, most likely, with something like this Quick Ball. We are going to see Giant Hearth get rid of the Dedenne and grab 2. I think looking at the deck, are they both in there? They are.
Okay.
So this is a possibility. It's not impossible here. Good choice of David. Going to go ahead and thin the deck out even more. We'll go ahead and it looks like grab that Reshiram and Charizard. I think going to force Benjamin to have the boss's orders here. Is the thought process instead of going for the Scoop Up Nets, but does not find what he's looking for. This is a play where maybe holding the Reshiram and Charizard could be better, right? Because then you leave yourself this option. But now with benching the Reshiram and Charizard, you now need to find the second Scoop Up Net on top of everything here. There it is.
Here we go.
Hold on, we could actually see if David sees this line of play. We could actually see this Blacephalon take a knockout, and then from there, there's no other line. There's the Welder, but I don't even know. I think it's actually correct to go ahead and attack with this Reshiram and Charizard. That way you force your opponent to have the boss's orders and everything else. So it looks like David might be able to actually pull this one out.
Definitely. Reshiram and Charizard, such a huge amount of HP, 270. Mawile only dealing, what, 100 damage at this point after the altered creation? Yeah. It's not enough. And even if you boss his orders onto the Blacephalon, it's still not enough damage. I think David has found the game-winning play here, unless Benjamin has one win condition, and it is so tough, but definitely possible if you can bench a Zacian, get an energy on it, find like an energy switch in a metal saucer and find that rusted sword, you can pick up a one-hit KO on this active Reshiram and Charizard. That's what Benjamin is going to have to do. Down 2 energy switch, down a few metal saucer as well. Let's see if Benjamin can put the pieces of the puzzle together and get this KO.
Yeah, I was going to say another Mawile would be a possibility, but that one got discarded on the first turn of the game. That would just be pretty simple, Mawile in combination with a boss, but Benjamin definitely wishing he had access to the second Mawile, would have more than enough Pokemon in David's hand to be able to deal enough damage to take a knockout. I think Benjamin just thinking through the turn. It's safe actually here to promote the Mawile. Zacian cannot attack with any water energy, so at minimum you have the retreat cost needed to retreat this here.
Yeah.
Benjamin has a sizable hand. 22 cards left in deck. There is still a lot of possibilities, but it's actually going to start off with this boss's orders onto the Oricorio. This makes me think that we may be seeing something like a Crobat in combination with the Zacian getting powered up, because maybe asking for Rusted Sword is a lot, but I feel like you'd rather play a supporter card, try to find those 2 copies of Rusted Sword, than to maybe going with something else, right? To try to find the Zacian and everything else in combination with pretty much no support Pokemon left in your deck, right? You're down both to Dene. You have a Crobat left, I guess, right? Eldegoss doesn't do anything for you in this situation. You've already played boss's orders. You have to assume your opponent has the way to retreat, right? Because they still have 3 Fire Crystal left, a ton of Fire Energy, and this is not looking good, especially when we see a Metal Energy attached to the Dene GX. I wonder if this just spells trouble. And it is David under those crazy circumstances. We thought he was out of this game here. Maybe the best comeback in the entire Oceania bracket, if not the entire tournament for what I've seen.
Yeah.
Was able to pull that out. What an incredible game here from David. Really just showing us how the lines of play, was able to identify the double scoop up net play, right, to remove those Pokemon out of play, to make sure this Mawile isn't hitting enough damage to, usually after Ultra Creation, anything knocks out this fragile Blacephalon, but not being enough. And David's going to go ahead and show us the power of this Blacephalon deck. He's going to go ahead and play. Looks like 2 Fire Crystals enough here. So Firewall Circuit is dealing plenty of damage to take the knockout here. David Patane will be your winner here in the Oceania bracket for Losers Round 9, taking it out with Blacephalon and friends. What a great comeback here from David. Excellent play. Identified 2 perfect routes. The scoop up net play on the Jirachi with the energies on it in game 2. And then in game